we are all alone. In our lonely hearts we search for a way back home. They gotta find a way, gotta find a way, find a way back home.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to OSL Week 3. CRETE Division, different channel, but the same great games. I'm D-Lo, joined here by the host of that said channel, AnthonyMalum. Anthony,
that's my name.
How are you feeling?
You nailed it. You absolutely nailed my name, so that's a positive. And you nailed Olympus, which is the big thing. Yeah, Olympus on mine, so big thanks to them for letting us do the game. But overall, when it comes to the actual game, D'Lo, I'm pumped. This is one I really liked on paper going in because Blood Wardens back way at the draft was one of the teams that really piqued my interest in just how they were putting their team together.
For sure. I mean, we got some familiar faces too, so always nice to see that. Wolfie gonna be taking up arms. No longer gonna be their weapon of choice is the cam. It's the sword. Gonna have to see if it's mightier than that operative. But nonetheless, week 3 here, which means that we're still kind of getting into the ebb and flow of the season. Means that synergies have not yet quite solidified, and there's still room to improve. And with that balance patch only coming down on our head tops yesterday, there's still plenty to account for in that sense too.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. Actually, is that that's sort of a newer thing to react to. I didn't even. It's funny you say that. I didn't even think about it because while this is a replay, it was played last night, which would mean it was on the balance patch. So we do get to see
Mm-hmm.
how that actually gets a bit of play, the type of impact that it makes, which I'm pretty excited to see.
Absolutely. I mean, Shifter Shield's getting a small nerf, but still expect to certainly see it across the board. It's a powerful item, and also expect to see generally about the same god choices. We begin to look for these P's and B's coming in here. It's still Medusa top threats. It's still Chungas. It's still Ixshells. Looking forward to seeing if there's a Amir on the board, though, and hopefully Hachiman bans aplenty.
I like the call out there of looking for the Emir. Got to do the Delo things and look for the Delo things, but overall, with the picks and bans, you nailed a couple of the big ones. I'm also still big on Charybdis being a top priority. The touch to her has been kind of minor at times, and she's just doing so much damage. And what's really interesting about the Charybdis damage being done is it feels like she can go a variety of builds. I know recently for ADC, there's been a crit build that's sort of working its way back to the top of the meta that we're seeing people like Zapman run, and you've always got the tried and true, straight up DPS damage hyper attack speed that we've become so accustomed to seeing, especially from characters like Charybdis. But also, D'Lo, this is CRETE, so things can kind of go any route, and I wouldn't be shocked. I love CRETE.
For sure, the Cretans going crazy here, but so far going to get a nice little goblin off the field with that Camazotz. Do not want that bat out of hell hovering above you. Cthulhu as well, known for that definitive ultimate. Some really big threats in their 2 respective roles being struck off the board. It seems like we're staying traditional for now.
Solo lane is always a tough one too, because in CRETE, solo is a hit or miss for me, as the Charybdis ban does come through pretty wisely so. Because solo in CRETE feels like it can either be as impactful as solo always is, and especially in this current meta where you mentioned Shifter, Shield, but anything hybrid, anything that can tank through the damage since Revert but still blow you up is just great right now. And solo is obviously the place where we see that. And even in jungle, because speaking of things that got nerfs, Erling Shen did take a couple, so we'll see if that affects the jungle role for either of these teams. There's a lot that I don't know. I'll be surprised to not see, if we don't see the same kind of gods we were seeing before the bonus balance patch, I'd be pretty surprised. But if we see a couple new ones, I'd be excited.
I mean, it's, CRETE, like you said, so expect to see maybe a bit of experimentation, but right now what we're experimenting with is all the food groups getting banned out, making sure we're getting a nice, healthy diet. Do not neglect your greens, and do not neglect your blue buffs. Shock, certainly not going to be able to the one to pick it up because he's been banned away. Medusa as well. Quite literally, just all across the board. The only role that has not been touched just yet is supports, which, ho-hum, but doesn't seem like their priorities on that. What this does leave open, as far as solo lane threats, is a Kakolin. I'm expecting to see that get locked in alongside potentially Ixchel here. Has been a priority mid-threat when Chunga is not available.
I really liked the call out you made of the E-Shelf even prior to picks and bans, just kind of saying it's a top selection right now. The Kakolin's also a good one because you can combo that, right? You can have the Kakolin diving into the backline of the team you're up against as your E-Shell blows everybody up from the backline. If I'm Blood Wardens, I might be considering here grabbing up a really strong soul lane or a really strong engage to kind of make the E-Shell's life a living hell, because if you don't, she's going to do the E-Shell thing, which is drop 60,000 damage and run away with the game. It's just sort of the nature of the current state of Smite.
And also run away from any signs of danger. I think this meta has been really dominated by backlines that are able to self-peel, and thus enables your Cthulhu, your Kakolin, your Bacchus to dive and try to eviscerate the backline respectively on the other side. So having that Charybdis off the field, having that Chang'e not available, those two guys that kind of have those get out of jail free cards can roll doubles whenever they want. It's pretty limiting in terms of what options you have left. Here's a god that's not looking to dive, but instead looking to only peel. It's the one food group they neglected, and now Blood Warden's going to gobble it up. Ganesh joins their team.
Elephant is a crazy food group. Would that be with the meats, or is that taboo?
I don't think it's kosher at the very least, but didn't quite read that one of the Torah. I should get back to my summer reading here. But a lot of Achilles
we'll discuss.
Actually, hold on. Hold on.
Achilles went to take over, but no, with what we've had so far, one thing that I did want to point out is you touched on it being CRETE and that making some unique things. The Ganesh being that first lock-in for support does leave open a couple of characters. You talked about Kukulin. I'm also looking at the Kuzenbo, which while Thorns did get a bit of a nerf, it's still in a really good spot. And Kuzenbo, if it was Content Cup, if it was OSL, if it was anywhere else, even in just ranked games, Kuzenbo is the top priority ban for essentially everybody. So to not see it so far is interesting, but it does also just leave a really big selection open that if I'm going Ghost, my response selection would have been the Kuz. Instead, they're going to go with the On Her at least first, which certainly not bad. I really like On Her right now, especially because I talked about hybrid ADC builds. Not hybrid, but options of ADC builds earlier. And the crit build that I mentioned, where you're rushing Rage, trying to get the stacks online, you rock with Deathbringer with a Demon Blade. On Her in particular, he makes that build look just so freaking good that if, you don't have to go that, but I'm hoping to see Going Ghost go that this time. And they pair it with the Kuzenbo. So they got two of the best picks out there right now. And with Charybdis gone, they got a pretty darn good Hunter to go with it.
Yeah, that's an incredibly aggressive dual lane there, and like you said, options. On Her can use that Disperse to both engage and disengage. Again, that self-peel with that Impale as well. Kukulin's going to be the counter lock-in, Yuwong slotted in alongside them. So at the very least, Blood Wardens do have a bit of dive, a bit of the ability to try to dive and take down that East Shell with that inherent anti-heal, and Yuwong has that self-peel. So even though we're taking different avenues on each side, it's still the same general MO for each team.
Exactly. It's because one of the things that you can counter dive with is damage. That's sort of the counter to being dove, because if you have a team lunging at you, you just blow them up and they're no longer a problem. But another thing that can help is kiting and being able to have some self-peel, and Yuwong does answer all of those things at the same time, because you can successfully and easily self-peel yourself, protect yourself, while if you're hitting your dueling dragons amongst everything else, you are blowing up the opposition, which is one of those reasons that Yuwong has really jumped to the top of the mid lane scope right now. I think is just a character who's easier to hit stuff on. It's funny. Smite always finds its way back to this concept of, well, people die fast now, so let's just play stuff that kills fast since everyone's dying fast anyway. And if stuff can hit easily too, well, that's just another positive.
Yeah, they're really racking up all the pros they can on this comp, and so far I'm really liking on each side. They have clear identities, which I think is important, especially if you're already 3 picks in. I'm looking for this Ganesh, especially looking at their matchup with this Kuzenbo. You're going to be obviously playing Protect the President on your backline, and Kuzenbo, I'm waiting for that Sumo Slam to come out, and I'm going to instantly meet it with an Ohm. That's going to be the important ability to silence, in my opinion, to make sure my backline does not get pushed out of position. Here, we're seeing the whole round table getting banned out. Lancelot and King Arthur, sorry, you're going to have to put up and shut up somewhere else. Instead, Freya and a Wheelix on Going Ghost. They don't want to deal with any of that knock-up gravitational surge shenanigans.
Freya you just have to get rid of, right? You just kind of have to in the current state. This might didn't get any touches in the bonus balance that we've been talking about, so you can take the risk. The Izanami, that's a character who, when the reverts first started happening, and when we got this most recent patch as well, which brought back a lot of old items, Izanami was one I was thinking of. Izanami is a character, for me, that was always synonymous with Iqbal, especially when you think back to like Xenotronics running it down mid lane. That's where those items really started to kind of become one-to-one with Izanami. And she has not been touched negatively in a long time in terms of nerfs. She's been buffed more recently, if I'm not mistaken. So Izanami is just kind of this forgotten about, hyper farm type of character. And for Blood Wardens, if you're looking to not take 1v1s, if you're looking to AFK farm in your duo lane, and try to get the Izanami ahead and rotate her around later in the game, she's kind of the perfect selection to do that into the on her. You can disengage from fights very well also. It's a really good pickup into the on her.
And you know what? It gives you safety, gives you self-peel with that stealth off the fadeaway. I appreciate the options we have here. Just don't get knocked up. Don't get in the clutches of that turtle. Sun Wukong gonna get locked in here. Sorry for everyone who's got OCD, a bit out of order there, but the Ravana will complete the comp. It's gonna be a nice front line established, and again, safety, dive, Going Ghost kind of got it all.
I love this team comp from Going Ghost. I absolutely love it. I mean, you said it, but while yeah, they were kind of deciding on their last couple picks of who do we want to grab, what are you're not missing anything. You got every base covered. On her, it has been performing really well. You've got that sustained, objective-based, and just tank shredding damage later. You've got E-Shell, who, aside from secure and objectives, is just outperforming so many mages right now in the mid lane. Kuzenbo, obviously. Robin has not left the meta in like 2 years at this point. And then Wukong, solid into the Cocoon. Not anything to write home about, I wouldn't say. I mean, Wukong just always gonna Wukong over the place. I mean, a lot of people call him training wheels for solo lane, you know, and for good reason. But it's just such a solid composition. While for Blood Wardens, there's a few more things that need to go correctly. You need the Ganesh to not be doing the Ganesh thing of thinking they're a backliner and just dropping into armored pillars and then locking arms with the ADC and never leaving. You've got to find a good middle point, because you made some good call-outs about needing to use the Ganesh to kind of get in the way of the Kuzenbo, disrupt some of the team fights, and again, objective secure will be a big one, which you do have the Wong for as well. And then let's talk about the most recent pickup, the Thor. You have to hit your ultimates. I cannot even count on 2 hands, all toes. There's not enough things to count on for the amount of times in Olympus Smite League I have seen Thors get locked in and then proceed to miss nearly every ultimate that they drop. If you can hit them, you can change the course of the game, but you have to hit them.
Yeah, listen, if Sun Wukong is that toddler riding around town on their trike, I want Thor's Anvil of Dawns to be the Ford F-150 that runs them over and just keeps going. You've got to enable your Cucullin. You've got to enable your Cucullin. Cucullin can turn games. I sometimes think that Cthulhu is a wash compared to Cucullin just because of the way that those mitigators can stack up. Ignore the violence that I'm talking about here. Let's focus on the message. Sometimes you got to hit the kid, okay? You've got to hit the kid. And right now, Sun Wukong, I say, I'm calling out all calls, hit on this man. If you can get few kills in pocket of your Cucullin, you're set.
That was insane. Okay, and the best part about that wild calm from you is I know you well enough to know it's coming back up in this set.
Yes, it is.
The scariest part. That is absolutely horrific, but no, I'm with you, D'Lo. Lots of things, but we got to see where they go first.
Indeed. Game 1 coming at you in just a minute between Going Ghost and Blood Wardens. Let's get to the action. Would you look at that? We're back. Going Ghost, Blood Wardens, Week 3, OSL, D'Lo, AnthonyMalum, Cat up in the sky. Sorry, no Achilles, despite all her hopes. But that being said, we got plenty of cool gods here on the field. Anthony, we didn't get to quite talk about it. Comp for comp, where does your favor lie?
I'm going to have to go Going Ghost in terms of pure composition. It's just everything you'd want right now. I mean, that if you look at tier lists from different former pros, from streamers in general, you're going to find all of these picks near the top. And for Blood Wardens, they just rely on a lot of stuff going really well. The Thor is going to have to be hitting stuff like we talked about. The setup is kind of lacking in terms of CC, because Ganesh, while bringing some, it's just not the same level as what Going Ghost is putting forward. And Wolfie Pup, not a comment on the player, a comment on the selection. Izanami brings a lot of unknowns aside from good clear for me in this laning matchup. So kind of a bit scary in that regard. So it's hard not to give Going Ghost the advantage early.
I do have to agree with you there. I'm not going to make a split decision just because Going Ghost are playing it traditional. They're playing it safe, and, you know, sometimes you can say, boo-hoo. But that being said, we might have to cry over this elephant being instantly eviscerated by Acerman. That's proof why. This comp is going to be effective minute 1 to minute done. It's just the fundamentals of these gods, and if you can operate them well, you've got good things going for you. Nice first blood.
That on her killed the Izanami so hard he jumped up to the top of the chart there in the items area. That's kind of impressive. I mean, to turn into a straight up Mario character and hop on their head like that, insane. But no, an early kill for the on her. And what ADC would you want more to get early kills on? On her just wants to fight and get more kills so you can get those early rotations across, and Astroman's done it now.
And it didn't even require any setup from the jungler, so that's kind of a symbol if you're the Ravana saying, all right, just leave us be. We're going to be fine over here. No need for a babysitter. We can watch ourselves. Just set us up with a rated R movie on the couch and we'll be doing just fine. So I'm hoping that that pressure will be allocated potentially to get this eggshell ahead, because I do think that's Going Ghost's really good hope to start snowballing with a bit of assistance, because Yu Wong, pretty slippery character.
Beads from both of the junglers, so nobody looking to go too crazy with Blink early on, which I kind of thought we might see one from Draco 10k. I mean, the crowd control that's there is pesky. I'll give it that. I mean, if you get caught in anything from Thor, you would certainly go down, but I think it would have been valuable for Draco 10k to at least consider the Blink into this matchup, especially if you were going to focus a bit more in the mid lane, because you need something to be able to jump on it's Jay Turner on that Yu Huang, and right now, everything you're going to do going to be very telegraphed and easily avoidable.
Bit of a scrap in here over those mids. Wouldn't you like a Blink to get those harpies? Not going to be obliged. Instead, Draco hip hops their way over to the right lane. BDK is up, but no one's quite paying too much attention to it just yet, which that's been something that's been very interesting to see. How teams decide to treat this BDK. Do you decide to give it all of your priority, or in these lower divisions, do you feel like we're going to be seeing a bit less prioritization?
Oh, well, the purple buff invade goes great for Going Ghost, so forget the question. The invade going even further? Sarcastronaut wants this.
Yeah, purple buff seems to be the real attention grabber, but nonetheless a pillar. Gonna block their progress. Not quite get any kills. Going Ghost continuing this trend of aggression. Here we're seeing a lot of damage rain down the Kakoan. The little Tyke has taken revenge on the Ford F-150. Gonna dismantle the tires, but they've gone big bully mode. They take down Draco. Nice job, the Ford F-150 swerves out of the way of the kindergartner. Instead, just sidewinds into Draco. The Tokyo Drift. At least one kill goes down to the Kakoan, but they trade their life.
That's crazy, I gotta say. Preposterous comms from you. Anyway, for J-Rod, what a great trade out. I mean, it sucks to die, sure, especially when you don't have teleport, but your jungler is invading now, grabbing the blue from Ivory Macaroon, and maybe successful will be close over there. Looks like he was not. But just in general, being able to trade out a kill there during the gank and not be punished for not having that teleport there is massive for the Kakulin. That's the kind of stuff you have to keep doing now if you're J-Rod. Ivory Macaron is a really, really, really solid soul laner who I've gotten to see a bunch of. So you've got to take all those smaller victories and really start to surmount them back, or you got to make a peak out of it, essentially. I feel like you kind of need to create a bit of a snowball in solo to be able to move around Ivory, get better rotations. Big ult.
Ooh, Pineapple a bit too lazy and hang out a bit too far with not enough vision. Nice kill there from the Anvil of Dawn. The Thor gonna grab that, but now the Mystic Rush gonna go in. Now you're feeling a bit too lazy. Can't back where they're looking at you, buddy. Best be careful, Yu Wong. Gonna go back in to try to assist, but Draco's still looking for Yu Wong to step just a bit too far out of line. Mjolnir's attunement not gonna hit, but gonna enable the teleport. But unfortunately, without that attunement hitting, that's gonna be a nice Ravana escape. A good Ravana attempt to get that kill back. Nonetheless, Blood Wardens do add one to the coffers.
I love the jukes there from Draco. That basically ensured that safety. It was cutting it a bit close for a bit of that fight, but just being able to move around and also actively looking for a way back into It's Jay Turner made that whole fight weird for Axon to interact with, because you're having to constantly keep in mind, I can't bait my mid laner into a death here. So very well played from Draco, and probably the only reason they was able to survive. And you know, it's kind of the same thing as what we talked about in solo for J-Rock. When one thing kind of goes poorly, if you can make something work and turn something around, it doesn't feel as bad. Ooh, another purple invade.
They're getting aggressive here on this left side. Elephant gonna have to escape recalling their fall at the beginning. Now it's 5 minutes here. they've been doing a great job executing on their identity. And that's what I mean. When you know what your comp's meant to do, you've got to execute. Going Ghost, certainly achieving. 5 minutes, 2-2. A small lead, 300 gold at the side order. But nonetheless, if they can keep that up, I see pings on the BDK. Ravana wants it, not going to be able to grab it. Seems that not much priority is being given here to this objective.
Which, while from their perspective, I'm sure it's annoying, if you actually look at the state of the map, there isn't a lot of red wards out right now. So going Ghost wouldn't even get the most value if they were to take it. Obviously, they don't know that. It's just more of a positive if you are rooting for going Ghost, that it's not the biggest deal. But I would like to see some more attention be put onto that BDK. I think teams that give it the proper TLC in a game really can benefit from it.
Ooh, dangerous position here for Wolfie. If you stay by that wall, you might get smacked. Gonna stand by that pillar instead. Ooh, Dark Void does decent damage. A few more boomerangs will do the job, but Wolfie, it doesn't come back quickly enough. The fatal flaw of every Australian. Comes back, but does it do enough damage? And now on the right side, we're seeing a similar fight here. 3v3, as there's the Kuzumbo spinning to win. And it's going to be a bit of trouble here for J Rodiger. They're going to be able to escape for now. They enter their Berserker form. Thor takes the sky. So is Ravana. Draco grabs a kill onto the Kakolan. They're trying to retreat now, though. Draco not going to be allowed. Instead, Pink goes down. Ivory needed some more elephants for his macaroons. It's Jay Turner goes down after the follow-up kill on a Sarcastronaut. 2 for 3. Bodies all over. One more hit on the Thor will do the job. The Rainbow Crash does not get him. Instead, he's going to Rainbow Dash his way back to base. Thor barely survives.
So many fights there. Both lanes just full on chaos. In the left lane, Wolfie popped 2 levels down, needed literally one more auto to have hit early on in that 1v1 to have gotten the kill over the On-Her, who has now made the lead further. Then the fight in solo breaks out, and I thought it was going to turn for Blood Wardens after the big time ultimate there from Axe and Jay, but it just simply did not. Ivory Macaroon was able to make that fight work for going Ghost, grabbed the double, and even had a chance at a triple kill had that Jingo Bang actually done the bang part of it and landed on the head top. But overall, going Ghost continuing to really establish that they rotate a little better, they team fight a little better, and that you have not been exposed to our On-Her yet. That's the mindset of going Ghost, at least in my mind, which is setting them up really well for as these objectives start to become the mainstay of the game.
And just as you said, Anthony, Gold Fury going to be looked at here by going Ghost. Izanami not quite privy to this attempt to pull it. She's still just farming it up. Gonna go down without any contestation. Great heads-up play here by going Ghost, and that's the benefit of having all of that vision across the map. Wards win your games, wards get your furies. Going Ghost proving it right here.
Kind of the best case scenario there for going Ghost to continue the lead that they are starting to pile together, really. And for Blood Wardens, the way back in, I think, has to be really wisely selected team fights and definitely not giving up picks. Axon should be able to get away. But you got to pick your team fights really wise. If you let another 1 or 2 big-time team fights go the way of going Ghost, now you've already found yourself towards 11 minutes. Everybody's starting to stagger their respawns, and ultimates are coming online around the time of Pyromancers being the big thing, around the time of Stitchy B being the thing, Delo. And that's where it can get even scarier for Blood Wardens. So for me, take your time, wait for the right moments, and then that way, if objectives come up, once that Stitchy B is online, once that Pyromancer's up, you're at least on even footing for a fight.
For sure. I mean, I definitely wouldn't say Blood Wardens are in too bad a position here. Elephant might not be able to say the same thing. Ooh, that How Cultivation, though. Putting him in a bit of trouble. Dueling Dragon's going to be narrowly evaded. Going Ghost have got their juke shoes on. They just went to the Fresh Kick store, and they are rocking it because these evasions have been really pivotal to keep a few kills out of Blood Warden's hands. And now Thor trying to get another one in their pockets here. Looking for that kill on the Sun Wukong. The little Tyke's going to be riding their trike all the way home if they can, but I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. Jay Roediger finishes the job for the drive-by. Thor might not be able to escape, though, as well. Trying to deliver that last bit of damage there. Draco finds a 10 hits. Too wide. Jay Roediger with the double kill. Blood Wardens evened it up.
Did you call him Jay Roediger? I've been calling him J-Rod.
J-Rod, Hot Rod, doesn't matter. He just ran over that toddler
Jay
just like I
Rodinger goes
wanted.
crazy. No, that was a compliment. Jay Rodinger with the fight there. I mean, that Cullen is a monster. I've heard Macaroon is somebody who has to be respected in these fights a bit too, but I'm really going to be looking at J-Rod more. There were things in every team fight that isn't going the way of Blood Wardens at some point or another. You can always look to that Cullen and see some positives. And the further we're getting, I talked about the objectives before, keeping the Cullen in mind, the Blink's online, you've got Thorns. That's going to be a huge addition to the Blood Wardens fighting, and maybe the answer they need.
If they can keep up this pressure on this solo lane, I think that they have really great things cooking, because Sun Wukong, despite at one point being 3-0, is still behind, and was still behind even before that fight, and they're going to continue to put that pressure on that solo lane. Kuzenbo and Sun Wukong trying to get something started here. Going Ghost recognizing that, make the rotation, but it's a bit too late for Going Ghost to actually start cooking. Instead, we'll settle with a nice BDK, Blood Wardens. Have to decide whether or not they want to take this. They do have the most damaging ultimate in the game. Jay Turner says, I don't need that. Gonna just take down Pineapple. A nice little quick snack, some fresh fruit. Here comes Thor, diving on in. Does actually steal it away. Blood Wardens with that Mjolnir's attunement. Beautiful work. Manages to just take that one out. Sarcastronaut now in trouble. Most damaging ultimate in the game has been placed. Not going to do too much other than stall out. Ooh, Macaroon gets placed right on top. A great stun. Puts Sun Wukong in a difficult position. Now they got their head in the clouds. This J-Rod waits for them to land.
Oh, the bird
use
got
that freaking
caught.
flyer miles, and that's going to be a lot of damage onto Wukong. Nice double kill. Sarcastronaut gets sent to Mars. It's Jay Turner with the double kill in the killing spree. Gonna try to continue this fight as Draco, but it's a 1v4, my friend. Not quite sure of your chances. Nonetheless, beads will be used off the Yu Huang just to make sure you stay safe. Blood Wardens pull ahead with another 3 kills.
The patience for the objectives turned into patience for the BDK, and it paid off big time for the Blood Wardens. They were able to take the past couple of fights on their terms-ish. The first one, not so much. The most recent fight, absolutely. Axon J with a big-time ultimate. You can survive at the Stitchy P there from Pineapple. This is the kind of plays that Blood Wardens want to keep making, and this is how you find your way back in. This is how you turn a few bad engagements into really no big deal. And that's something we seldom see in CRETE. I'm pretty impressed, honestly, with the Blood Wardens put together, because also in the duo lane, I talked about earlier, the On Her, who was about 2.5 levels ahead of Wolfie Pup at one point. While the lead's not caught up for Wolfie Pup, Wolfie's doing a really good job of not losing the tower, keeping up in farm, and not allowing the On Her to go completely unchecked, so we haven't seen any big-time rotations from the Lion.
I'm impressed personally, not only by just that really heads-up play by the Thor, but in general the map awareness these teams are presenting us, whether it be that Gold Tree play from Going Ghost or that heads-up Anvil of Dawn from the Thor to make sure to stop that BDK pull. Trying to make sure to stop that Ravana from taking your life again. Yu Huang manages to escape. I'm really appreciating that heads-up play is coming from both sides, despite the division being lower. 13 minutes now. It's 6-9.
Nice.
37. You got it. 1,000 gold lead here to Going Ghost. It's still not substantial. And that's because Blood Wardens are fighting tooth and nail to keep the kills in their favor. Might be a bit of trouble here, though. A lot of green on this right side of the map. Looking to try to deliver another kill here, potentially, to J-Rod. No, instead it's the BDK. They're tired of what just happened. Might be a second steal, though. Action replay potential here. As they look to get it. It's not going to go their way. It does get it for Going Ghost. So Cullen now in a bit of trouble here. Thor takes to the sky. Let's see how good your aim is, buddy. Might have to decide. Oh, real good! Very good! Thor good indeed. Has to force the beads to avoid the lunar invocation. And now he says, it'd be real good to get out of this fight instead. Kuzenbo gonna make you regret trying to dive in. Instead, J-Rod finds that first kill on Pineapple. Job complete. He's willing to lay down his life, but Ivory says there's more to be done. Axon gets the axe from the Sun Wukong. Barely able to live those Phoenix Flames. The turtle does not get cooked quite yet. It's a 1-for-2 trade here. Going Ghost also get the BDK. A solid fight for order.
Yeah, it looked real good for a moment, but it ended a bit bad for Blood Wardens. 2-for-1 isn't what you want, especially off a big-time ultimate like that, especially when you and I, Dilo, we were talking about if the Thor hits ultimate, it's going to be so good for Blood Wardens. Well, that's now the second time that we've seen a really good 2-3-man Thor ultimate that simply has not turned the fight for Blood Wardens. It's weird. It feels like the fights where Blood Wardens are doing really well, they're losing the fights. But the fights that look better for Going Ghost all of a sudden work out for Blood Ward. It's weird and wacky so far how these team fights have gone down. But this Primal Fury getting pulled by Going Ghost, maybe Blood Wardens can clean it up here.
Looking for that Primal, gonna pull it and then unleash it because they recognize that Blood Wardens were aware this time. Yeah, you can't have it this time. Can't have your cake and eat it too. I think what you talked about before is about the fact that Going Ghost kind of just is a comp that not plays itself, but has an easier flowchart, and Blood Wardens have to, it seems, work harder for less. And that might be why a fight that looks good at the start can very easily, off a couple missed abilities, a couple mispositioned characters, instantly fall flat on its face. So Blood Wardens need to kind of tighten their communication, because that Thor ultimate was good, but what follows it up is the question. If it's only going to be Axe and Jay up against 3 members, it's going to be rough looking here for the Wardens.
I guess that's where you're going to really have to count on your Izanami later in the game to pull through, because it's Jay Turner has had some really good fights, but every time Jay Turner's getting good picks and good kills, we saw the double kill under that Soul Lane tower, that came off the stun from Thor. So there's obviously some there for the Yu Wong, but I think once the Izanami's there, you've got consistent people who can follow up. The problem becomes, if the Izanami is there to follow up on the Thor, well, that probably means the Anhur is going to be there too. And then that's where you start looking at matchup per matchup. Ivory Macaroon and J-Rod are in a true war right now, and it's hard to kind of pick one. I've loved the engages coming out from J-Rod, but Ivory Macaroon is doing better and longer sustained team fights. Sarcastronaut is on Kuzenbo. That god is so Mickey, you could carry any team through a team fight phase. So it really will depend the further we go.
I mean, I really got to give my hats off to Ivory Macaroon, who's been performing very well underneath the pressure from what I think that matchup goes a bit more Colin's way, just because the inherent anti-heal, it's more of a bully god, and even though you have the escape, you don't want to be playing that one defensively the entire time, but I think Sun Wukong's been showing a great amount of aggression to their part as well. Now aggression being shown here on this Pyromancer. Draco around the back, looking for Yu Wong once again. Decent damage to the Mystic Rush, but instantly going to have and Shadow Fist. Gonna sumo push out the Elephant, might be hunting for Ivory once again, pushes them in the pillars, which slow them down for their advance. Seems like Blood Wardens might be able to get away, but that Rainbow Crash, Lure Invocation, Threads of Light combination. Tank is seeing stars. A nice kill there on the Ganesh, and now it's Going Ghost's turn to start the Pyro.
They should have an okay time grabbing this Pyro, but it's not going to be safe. Accident in the sky!
And he comes down on the pillar. That's not looking good for you. That's your great end, friend. As Kikoan tries to go back in, but has Buyer's Remorse with the instant. The Lion has rotated, and you're now facing the jaws of defeat. It's a Lunar Invocation. Knock up, knock down. J-Rod goes down to Draco. Excellent team combination there from Going Ghost. 3 members go down there, as well as a Pyro to order side. Wolfie with his split push also knocks down a tier 1. Beacon, they're taking everything home, man. It's all on clearance.
Well, that was about as good as it could have gone. Again, Blood Wardens seemingly with an okay opportunity, and it blows up in their own faces somehow. Pyro gone to Going Ghost. Wolfie Pup did almost get a tier 2, got a tier 1, so some golden pocket at least for Blood Wardens to kind of keep the game not in disaster territory. But I was laughing because, by the way, you just totally made that Thor ultimate feel as lore accurate as possible, where I got excited. I'm sure Blood Wardens did too. Thor was in the sky, plenty of targets abound to land on, and it just kind of...
Sometimes you hit a pillar, sometimes you hit 2 people. It's truly a roulette wheel that we spin. It's truly a gamble that we make. And you know what? To Axe and Jay's credit, they've been trying their gosh darndest, and they've been having some decent success. 2 and 2 certainly not terrible, but it's not been as consistent the damage as I feel like the Ravana's been contributing. It's been consistently forcing this Yu Wong into the Celestial Flight, and forcing that cooldown is very pivotal when it's really their only way to stay safe in these fights.
Shout out to Hydra, by the way. Tank 674, rocking the Hydra's build. When the most recent patch had come out and we saw the reintroduction of so many old items, I was talking with Hydra in Spirited Book, and Hydra was going on a big push about how Cannoneers into Shifters would be a lot of value for a little bit of gold to get a lot of really good stats online. You don't get to see all the stats because Anthony's a genius, but they're really good stat sticks in both regards, especially even with Shifters having gotten a touch recently. It's still in a great spot. So a lot of value there for Tank 674. Man, I hate names with numbers with my dyslexia. But the Spectral after, physical protections for Tank are through the roof right now. A great passive online to counter the Anhur, who's rocking a Rage. I like a lot of the decisions I'm seeing from Blood Wardens.
It's 20 minutes now. It's 11 to 10. It's 54,000 to 50. Going Ghost with a really solid lead their way now. The most we've seen so far. Going to add to them coffers with a nice tier 1 tower in the mid lane. I mean, we talked about Blood Warden's ability to kind of shut down opposing dive. You have the Elephant. You have the ability to self-peel. Do we feel like they're executing well enough on this vision as Going Ghost begin to edge toward this Fury?
I still like the Going Ghost team comp more, but there's enough cracks that I'm worried. Blood Wardens could very easily turn a team fight on its head and get a quick deicide if one combination from Axe and Jay and its Jay Turner worked out well with Wolfie Pup present. That happens, Going Ghost could very easily all be gone, and I wouldn't be shocked in the slightest, especially if J-Rod can find their way into the backline of Going Ghost, because that's another thing we haven't gotten to see as much. J-Rod's been initiating really well, but it hasn't been initiation onto the On Her and E-Shell. It's been more improv than that. So for Blood Wardens,
yeah,
they have plenty of clean ways back in.
J-Rod's playing jazz right now. Maybe get something a bit more classical. Get the symphony. Get something that's got a plan. Blood Wardens need to really buck up for this next objective fight, which does seem like it's going to be around the Fury as the teleport's expended. Macaron going to come right back in. It seems that Blood Wardens maybe not privy to that. You have to imagine Colin sounding the alarm. Hey, they're still on this, guys. Let's get back in this. Thor, of course, does have ultimate pocket, and you're seeing Axon try to eke around the On Her, but Going Ghost are aware of that plan as well. Seems that for at least now, we're going to retreat back to a faux laning phase. Neither team quite wants to press the button.
These games are always tough to get a full read on, because it doesn't feel like it matches the game state at hand, right? The gold is so significantly in Going Ghost's favor. Their level 20s are hitting much faster. Again, credit to Wolfie Pup, though, for making it a contest despite an awkward early game. I think the big spot where it breaks down for me, and I've said this a couple of times, is that Thor Yu Wong, but it's really what they're bringing to fights. And this is where Wolfie comes in for me with J-Rod. We haven't seen a lot of... the damage we're seeing, it feels like both teams are blowing each other up at the very start of a team fight. We haven't seen prolonged fights just aren't happening. They're happening in the sense of, oh, there's still a couple picks for us to clean up under the tower, but that's it. Maybe that's where these ADCs will come into play. It's the, hey, everybody's 2 HP, dash forward, jump forward, start getting the cleanup kills that make the fights feel longer. That could be where the difference lies. Going Ghost taking forever to start this Pyromancer, by the way. Finally we'll do it. I was trying to time it so I could drop it, but my goodness, it took them 10 years.
They managed to grab it. They grabbed the bomb. Going Ghost bided their time appropriately and did grab the objective without any risk of danger. Stygian Beacon now. Going to be the same story unless Blood Wardens decide to actually have a show of force. But with the members lacking, does not seem like it's going to be the case. Going Ghost just kind of taking things for free. Might take a nice kill for free as well. On to J-Rod. Pushed back in, but the Pillar going to slow down their advances. Blood Wardens have a lot of great tools to hinder your advance between the pillars of both varieties. So Going Ghost need to try to find a way to get around that if they really want to get the jump on someone.
They also have a really good way of commanding respect over positioning in a team fight because of the Thor. Anytime a Thor is present, you have to understand he can come out of nowhere. You see it right now. Look where Axon's positioning. That's what Going Ghost had to be ever present of, and it creates problems in how you start team fights because you have the calm of, wait, where's Thor? You know, eyes on Thor. Do we have a ward on Thor? Whatever it may be. In this situation, they do not. So Going Ghost say, we can't take this fight because Thor is probably just lurking in the jungle. And even when Thor is kind of deep in the jungle, you just walk over and ult, and it's okay, and you get there just as fast. And Going Ghost have to figure out a way to sort of get around that if they want to make these fights lockdown. Because as I've mentioned, the cracks have shown. We've seen great ultimates from Axe and Jay. If those opportunities keep presenting, it's a problem. So if I'm Going Ghost, it's a matter of how can we just get around the Thor? And that's the question everybody has to ask. But I think you actually have the answers in the form of the way that you can sustain back. You have Ivory, you've got Pineapple's lazy. The amount of sustain in their kits and the amount of sort of punish for getting too aggressive on them, you can react with them to the Thor and, of course, the Kuzumbo and get a better handle on a fight.
A sustain also just means that the longer these poke wars go on, Blood Wardens are at far more stake to lose just because we can kind of heal up those minor scratches and wounds with that Lunar Invocation, with that Somersault Cloud if we're in the midst of the fight for Ivory. Also the fact that if you're in a flight, what stops a flight? A bomb. They got 2 in pocket. They got Primal Fury now they're looking at here. Gonna be knocked down again without any contestation. Thor takes to the sky, but I don't know, did TSA register your luggage, buddy? Because you might be running into a big issue. Gonna land right on top of the Oracles instead, because that's the safer target. Going Ghost had already taken their lunch, and now they're going home.
I hate TSA. Can I just say that? That's not
They
controversial.
hate the elephant, bro. It's not controversial, but neither is the fact that they're trying to kill that Ganesh. Forces out, I think they got that heavily off of him, too.
Ooh,
Elephant's scared to death.
I have a counterpoint. They would love Ganesh. There's no shoes to take off.
True, but that's okay if he has TSA pre-check, in which case it doesn't even matter.
Do you think Ganesh has the money for TSA pre-check? And the inconvenience, you gotta go every few months, you have the background check, you have... There's so many things that you have to do for back. It's
Extended
exhausting.
range assist
Really,
gold.
it's exhausting.
Anytime someone dies in like 50 meters of him, he's getting gold for that. So honestly, I think he's stacked. I think he doesn't wear a shirt. He's humble about it, but that man's definitely got a trust fund in the back. We just don't see it. Right now we're seeing a fight, though, in this mid lane. Looking for this Ixchel, a 3-man on gauge. Pineapple getting a bit too lazy once again. Dueling Dragons absolutely explode the fruit. It's Jay Turner with a nice kill. On her going to leap on in with that Desert Pillar, as well as that Desert Fury. Decent damage there, but not enough. Kitty Cat gets burned. J-Rod getting taken down there by the Rag. And there's Wolfie going off as well.
Triple.
Draco goes down. 4 members down here. It's Jay Turner on a roll. No health, no problem. The damage is all we've got. Blood Wardens with an incredibly impactful fight.
That's as good as you could possibly draw it up for Blood Wardens. Even with Ivory surviving, it's okay. You've got vision control. There's no fear of the Wukong popping up anytime soon to make this contest. Unless you take forever, which... Admittedly, Blood Wardens, you're going a bit slow, Dilo, on this Fire Giant. Maybe step it up a little bit. But again, the fight, as good as you could possibly draw it up. And that's the kind of fight that we've been waiting and expecting Blood Wardens to pull together as recently as 10 minutes ago, and they finally do it.
Guys, please. Please grab it. The Ganesh is about to die, everyone. Okay. Blood
That's
Wardens.
really risky.
That was getting scary. I mean, to be fair, Sun Wukong was not the one with the Runic Bomb, but now Blood Wardens say, hey, let's get dangerous ourselves. Everyone's a flight risk. 27 minutes here. 12 to 14, going Ghost, now having slipped out of that dominant lead they had, still up, but by very small numbers, 1,000. What do you think has been the turning point? What's been Blood Warden's change in strategy or going Ghost's slip-ups that has resulted in this change of pace?
In a weird way, it sort of feels like it was just target acquisition of Blood Wardens, where they're actually killing people. One thing that as I was sort of going back in my memory, you know, SpongeBob going through the filing cabinets, I was thinking about how Blood Wardens were constantly, yes, the ultimates from Axton were hitting too. Yes, Jay Turner was finding some double kills, but who was it on at times? It was kind of random. It'd be Draco, and then a couple minutes later, Sarcastronaut, and then like 10 seconds later, it would be Pineapple. It wasn't true lockdown. In that fight, it felt like the dominoes were falling in the correct way that really set up for Blood Wardens to continue to steamroll through. Because you've gotten rid of the damage to worry about, the peel to worry about, and you can sort of more in a cerebral fashion take apart Going Ghost. I think that might be one of the bigger differences. And, you know, it's hard to... It's easy in theory to say, well, kill this, then kill that. But it takes a lot of coordination. It takes really a really strong IGL in your comms. But Blood Wardens that time seemed cleaner, and that time might be all they needed, Dilo. They've tied it up in gold. They're actually leading in gold, and now looking to siege 2 tier 2 towers. Great calls from Blood Wardens, kind of all around now.
I think both teams have eyes on the midst as the target priority here. We saw it from the Ixchel. Like you mentioned, it's about them kind of bucking up, getting together and synergizing in terms of who we're going to select to take down first. It was a 3-man ambush on Pineapple. They gobbled him up, and that was important because they know that it's a target that's a bit easier to get if you catch them lacking. You catch them on their ones, just run their pockets real quick, and then you don't have to worry about that damage for the rest of the fight. So if Blood Wardens can topple that domino first in the future, it's going to be good stuff. If Going Ghost can get hands on its Jay Turner, which you have to imagine after that triple is the priority target, it might be the same story. Tier 2 going to hold firm. Thor going around is kind of getting the grand tour, taking down both right side and left side tier 2s. Only the mid-left stands.
Great call. You're Thor. You can move around faster than almost anybody, and in terms of the amount of ground you can cover, you had Fire Giant. Your build had plenty of damage onto those towers. A really good call there. But now Blood Wardens gonna pull the Oni Fury, and Going Ghost are aware. A risky fight to take, but they've got everything up if Going Ghost really want to force the issue.
Here's the time for J-Rod to dive, and they're looking for that eggshell. Gonna try to grab their lucky charms, but they're not gonna succeed. No, Pineapple a bit too lazy on that one. Here comes Mystic Rush, gonna Mystic Rush from down cultivation. It's J-Turner, takes a quick private jet right back to the back line. Here they go. It's the front line trying to get something going, but Wolfie says absolutely not. Eats the macaroons for lunch.
On her with some crits coming through. That's going to be one down in J-Rod. A jump back and aggressive from the On her to bring down J-Turner. But Wolfie Pup had an answer. Wolfie Pup had 2 answers for the triple kill and the deicide.
The backline is just taking turns popping off here on Blood Wardens. They are out for blood. It's going to be a nice deicide, a tier 2 tower, a mid-Phoenix,
yeah.
20 seconds left. Why not? You got that bomb. Might as well let the fireworks go. Blood Wardens now at liberty. They're not at liberty. Never mind. They're not sure.
Guys,
it's 8 more seconds. This is tragic. The Cretans have let us down. It seems they're going to instead go for the Phoenixes and retreat to the jungle.
all right, come on. You know, I'm gonna ruin the whole like I'm always nice to the players persona, man. Come on, come on. That could have been an end.
That's unfortunate. Okay, so let's get in their minds here. They didn't have all their team. They didn't have its J-Turner, who was the most impactful in that last fight. They might have felt like without the Yulong, they couldn't have done it. I'm just trying to theory craft here.
No, I mean, I do understand the idea behind being conservative, but here's the thing for me. You got the singular, you got the good Phoenix, you know, left side, strong side, I believe you were screaming the other night consistently. You got the good Phoenix down for Going Ghost.
The Titans. Kill the Titan. Sorry, continue.
You got the good Phoenix, but in the time you got it, you could have definitely made a play onto Titan. The minion wave wasn't too far behind you, and when the decision was made of letting go of that mid Phoenix, I think the closest respawn timer was 13 seconds. That's more than enough time to get damage across onto that Titan. And if one person is spawning into 3, that is easier to kill. And the respawn timers, while not significantly staggered, it certainly wasn't 10 seconds apart for each person. They weren't instantaneous either. So I do think Blood Wardens could have just simply ended the game, but they take the passive approach. So what now? Well, you got Fire up, Fire, you got Phoenixes down, you got Pyro as an option too, Dilo. So a lot Blood Wardens can certainly force out, but now you have to end the game. Because if you fumble this, then you threw everything away.
But you know what, Anthony? It's not just fire. It's E, F, G. It's in the game. 33 minutes means we've got that big buff coming, and Thor's gonna be looking to get you as well. Big ultimate there on the Honor, forces both relics. Ixchel forced into the great end, gonna be able to heal up as well as do their own damage, but not quite enough. The Fire Giant's been all but forgotten. Blood Wardens scattered, and Sun Wukong's heads in the clouds. Axon with the first kill.
Pineapple's lazy already gone, as you said, but there's more to be had. Blood Wardens and Going Ghost have split up in a weird way. Blood Wardens got to get closer, but Going Ghost got to get back. They're losing their Titans.
Remember the Titans. Remember the Titans, guys. Left side, strong side. Those minions are gonna. Left side, strong side. Blood Wardens with the Winions cheering their hearts out. Bless their souls. They win game 1.
Winions! It's so funny because in the modern day of Smite, we so seldom see people care about minions hitting your fire. You always hear casters, myself and you included, say, "Oh, you can let a wave or 2 attack it." But in that scenario, 2 straight lanes were just piling on. We saw the Oni Fury go down. Perhaps more importantly. And Going Ghost just said, okay, I guess we have to Hail Mary, but they were too split to full commit to the fight. Blood Wardens get a free one, despite the fumbled end.
That is so unfortunate. I mean, you know, maybe it's them just like wanted to let their homies eat. They're like, hey, we're going to take the day off, guys. You get on in there. And the Winions are like, we're all too happy to. Bro, that one minion who led the charge must feel like a hero. He's getting a promotion.
Yeah,
he's next FG.
They get to actually, they get to have real dinner tonight. They get to sit with the gods at the dinner table. They're not outside in the tents.
Good for them, man. I'm proud of y'all. Good job, Minions, and good job. I mean, good job to Blood Wardens recognizing their win con. They played their cards right. They
Well,
ended up with
I
the
don't know if
victory.
they recognize the win
All right,
con.
we'll take it, okay? It's a dub. It's a dub.
Their
It's dub.
minions recognize the win condition for
They only
sure.
have one thing in mind, bro. They have thoughts, and there's no side quest for them, bro. They got one thing on their mind: murder. Just like YMW Melly. It's only murder on their mind.
You know, it's so funny too because
Succeeded.
you were talking about the Ford F-150 and the kid on the trike very early on. You were saying that was going to be more of a soul lane situation. It ended up being the Titan was the kid on the trike, and the minions were the minions were the Cybertruck, dude. The autopilot's broken. The car barely survived the accident, but they drove straight on through anyway, and they piled right over those kids.
Dude, it's just a clown car. Like, you thought it was just like, oh, two people, and then there's like more kept piling out, just to, like start.
More.
They're like, stop, and they're like, get his ass! And the Archer minions are just like cheering. They're like, get his ass! Yeah, punk. What you think now? That was awesome. Yeah, good game. Good game. Next.
Good games.
Next.
Oh my god.
Next.
Yeah, you're chair one. You gotta send us the break, but
Okay, yeah, my bad.
We need a minute. Go.
We need a break. The minions need a break after all the work they just put in. And we'll be right back with more Smite in just a second.
coupe way less. My coupe the best. Make the place blow up.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. OSL Week 3, going Ghost, as well as the champions of the Winions, that being the Blood Wardens. I'm D'Lo. He's AnthonyMalum. She's It's Cat. And you are all stunned after what we just saw. Anthony, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm also stunned after what we saw.
Mhm.
I think me, you, and Kat all collectively noticed the minions at the same exact moment,
Yes.
which somehow made it even funnier from our perspective. But in terms of an actual what went down way of looking at it, the Oni Fury was taken, and it was almost like a secondary thought to everybody. I think we all may have assumed, being CRETE, that there'd be some passive play coming out from Going Ghost, where when that fire did get started up, after the admittedly fumbled end initially from the Blood Wardens, the Going Ghost would play passive, clear out minion waves, and then look maybe to send like one person like Ivory Macaroon, which like I was mentioning, over to fire for a steal. But instead, everybody went. We saw two very separated fights, and the fights were so separated and so chaotic that nobody seemed to notice that the minions were ending the game, and then they just kind of did because it was two lanes and Oni minions. So Going Ghost, I'm sure, a little bit mental boomed. How could you not be? And for Blood Wardens, I would feel pretty pumped up and just pretty like, well, that's a free game, so we have one to play with now, and
Mhm.
the confidence should, in theory, be sky high.
Yeah, I'd have some choice words to talk about to talk through the comms with
You
your
don't
team, and
say.
it's like, all right, we clearly dropped the ball there. We clearly need to make sure our comms in order, and that's where we kind of started to see that fall apart. You know, they started with the advantage. We talked about the fact that Going Ghost, we had favor for their comp. It seemed like it played itself a bit easier. Maybe they got a bit too comfortable. They got a bit too lazy. Isn't that right, Pineapple? Nah. The Ixchel was honestly a really good pick and just got called out quite a bit because they recognized that was the big threat of their damage. So I don't even want them to stray away from that. But I just think that they need to execute a bit better. That's all. I think the comp was fine. And going to these next P's and B's, I don't necessarily need to feel upset if they go with the same things.
It's funny you say that because about Pineapple, because I was thinking as you were saying that, like, wow, D'Lo has cast a lot of very rough games for Pineapple is lazy. I was thinking about back to it might have been CRETE Finals last season where you were talking about Pineapple losing and you were using the name as some wordplay. So I think you and Pineapple might have some accidental beef, which I mean, how could you not have
My
that with the
bad.
amount of games that we cast? But maybe this will be the comeback game because now going in and looking at actual gods and that kind of stuff here around the corner, the biggest things for me are you can't not, even though you won, if you're Blood Wardens, you can't let Going Ghost just get all the best characters in the game in the draft. Just
I agree.
because you won it without them doesn't mean that it's okay that they had the composition.
For sure, I think there's some lessons to be learned on both sides here, both in the P's and B's board, at the drafting board, as well as on the field. And I really want to throw one person we didn't even get to throw respect to that I actually just want to call back to real quick was Wolfie, which the ability to hang on, like you talked about, against that on her, and then rotate and just start causing havoc despite that was really impactful. I'm looking forward to seeing, as we get into these P's and B's here, what we see chosen for the carries.
It's funny you mentioned that about Wolfie as well, because Wolfie had even said that there was a jump party at one point between themselves on the Izanami and the Anhur that they were up against. And I think a part of that might have been, if you're losing behind in the lane, you're not going to try to take 1v1s. So if you're Wolfie, you're not going to try to force the issue and take 1v1s against the Anhur that's ahead of you, and they didn't. And it worked out really well for Wolfie. But now going into this, you know the Anhur is something that Wolfie either isn't super comfortable taking 1v1s in, or is a very strong pick for Acer Man, Aster Man. I'm never going to know what to actually say about that. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways this could go down.
Personally, I'd love to see them on an Achilles and then having the Achilles support with the Achilles solo. I'm thinking maybe the Achilles jungle and like, what the hell, maybe an Achilles mid, but going to find out how it goes. It seems that our production, unfortunately, doesn't quite have P's and B's because they did remake the lobby, so that is unfortunate. That we're gonna have to we're just going to have to get in the heads of this team to see what goes on with the B's, but at the very least, the P's will be apparent. What changes do you want to see, Anthony? Because we talked about things that we liked, didn't get to quite talk about things that might need to go.
Well, I don't want to see a Kuzenbo for going Ghost. Everything else, I guess you could kind of get away with. I mean, the E-Shell, not ideal, but Kuzenbo is my big, I do not want to see it for going Ghost, if I'm Blood Wardens. The Bacchus, though, I'm not gonna lie, not what I had in my brain. I mean, yeah, kind of a similar story. Bacchus also, I've heard a few supports talk about Bacchus being very tip-top right now of supports. Some even put him ahead of Kuzenbo, which personally, I'm kind of, Kuzenbo or bust right now, but I do think Bacchus is a close contender for second. But I'm also not a support player, so, definitely keep that in mind. But the problem with a Bacchus, Adilo, is Bacchus flops. And going Ghost liked Anhur, and Anhur had a jump in the previous game. And Blood Wardens locked in a Wheelish, who is also just really freaking good right now.
I've got to say, I like the Wheelish pick. I recently got to see a game where it absolutely ran up against a Bacchus.
I heard you predicted it.
I'm wearing the tank top right now, a different one. Target gives you packs of 5, so don't worry, it's not the same one, guys. But I am wearing the same tank top of Analysis, gives you +5 intelligence, and that's not, we're not even the Smite 2 stats yet, but already starting to get those intelligence stats boosted up here. But my issue with this Wheelix is a first pick. It can be countered in the terms of what other characters they can lock in that are going to stay safe. And I also think that if you're going to lock in that Wheelish and you're going to lock in a carry, an Anhur would have been a great thing to have on your side for that disperse knockup. Instead, Izanami, maybe just Wolfie, very comfortable on that god, and can't blame them after their performance in Game 1.
And that is one tough thing, too, with the remake. This Wheelish might not have necessarily been the first lock-in overall. And that's kind of the game you do play with the remake. But regardless, I do see where your brain is at of if you're going Ghost and you have selections like,
listen.
Okay, I desperately need to know if
now we're
the
seeing him cook.
Hoonbots came before or after the Wheelish. I need to know that so badly about going Ghost draft. Because that potentially is crazy. I mean, again, remake, the lobby was remade, so the order they're getting locked in might not necessarily have been the one it was locked in game.
I would hope not.
The bans, but holy bad matchup. Yeah, I mean, come on, you can't really get much worse of a matchup for your team so far. You're only 2 picks in.
Every time I wear a tank top and a Wheelish runs a game, I'm convinced. I think that someone needs to pay me next time they want to play a Wheelish because they're clearly going to be favored in these comps. Okay, all right, now that I understand what the remake entails and the fact that we don't have the orders down, this is good looks here for the Blood Wardens. I feel like, honestly, Axon was a really large part of the success. Didn't have those fancy triple kills that their backline did, but provided a lot of space and had some really well-timed ultimates, and you don't even got to aim this one. We just got in from our top analysis here that we have investigating in the hearts of their side. Hoonbots was a lock after the Wheelish. That is some crazy cookery here.
Never ever have I wished more that F-Dot was in a cast with me than right this very second. That... You want to talk about... I used the word earlier, but I think it's been it's been overmatched here in game 2. That's preposterous. Why would you do that to yourself? You must be the world's greatest freaking hoop. What are we doing, dude?
Oh, no. Okay, so no. All right, well, here's the thing. All right, we don't know when that one was locked. Anthony. Okay, maybe they already had 4 leaps and they were like, you know what? Just add a 5th one. Make it. There is such a thing as genuinely, as a person with ADHD, option paralysis exists. All right, so like maybe they're just hoping that she'll see all of the icons for like gravity surge when everyone leaps at once, and she'll have a stroke.
That's such a really good way of saying it. But okay, apparently Hunbats was the 9th pick. All right, man. I mean, here's my thing though, right? I'm gonna pivot this a little bit because I'm sure it's only gonna get worse at this rate with selections from Going Ghost. If you are the Wheelish of Blood Wardens, you have to put on a legacy performance because you will. I mean, unless you had a Hebo in your mid lane, you are simply never going to have a more like ideal matchup of characters to go into. Like if we see it on her and you get something like, I don't know, like an Atlas on your team, like there's no better situation to be in a Wheelish here. You have got to put on a clinic.
Remove obstacles knocks him up. I am dreadfully concerned. I think that, okay, now they've come back rested. Winions took all the work. Dear God, dear sweet Jesus, this is going to be a clinic of performance. And I'm gonna say the same exact thing I said yesterday, Anthony. This is true, in the fact that Going Ghost have 1 saving grace, a Wheelish only has 1 ultimate, and they're
true.
It's giggles, but at the same time, it does genuinely mean that you can only get 1 target, and sometimes it's not the right one. You can play a game of pick the support here, but then Kakolin's liable to go with that salmon leap and start diving your backline. There are options here for Going Ghost, but they can't go Ghost at the computer this time. They can't forget the Titan. They need to be on their game to make sure this Wheelix does not absolutely run the entire thing to the ground. No, I get it, dude. I get it.
I'm gonna take a note out of Trelly's book.
Okay,
during the Smite 2 tournament, I believe it was Ragna on a Soul missed every hit of Supernova and then hit 1 auto to secure a kill. And I said, oh, well, you got the kill, so we're not going to nitpick too harshly. And Trelly said, I'm going to absolutely nitpick harshly. I'm going to absolutely nitpick harshly onto Going Ghost. That is simply such an... maybe it is option paralysis.
No,
on her too! Alright, this is borderline trolling. Mental booming doesn't mean that your brain has left the cranium.
Okay, so I think the Winions
They're a better team than this. They have better players than this.
We need a wellness check.
I've seen them play better.
We need a wellness check. I think those Winions did irreparable damage to their spirits, and they're just trying to throw themselves at Suku in attempts to take down the Panther Goddess. But this is horrifying. This is very, very scary. Everyone's engaged and disengaged, save Morgan Le Fay, is gobbled up by the Lunar Goddess. What is even the 5th pick? Give him a Hercules. I don't know. Just someone who the god of knockups. Habla. Sure. Jungle. I don't care. This is already so dire.
This is the Malum version of the OSL stream. So shout to Marissa. Your chat rules are unreasonable. Have compassion when people are out here picking like this.
Yeah, it's so true. Read the fine print. Read the fine print. It says,
I'm gonna have to add some kind of fine print there, unless you pick Hunbot's 9th into a Wheelish.
Dear sweet God. Okay.
Because my other thing is, we didn't get to see the bans, and that's kind of a big thing, sure. But if you're, it was banned in game number 1, so it had to be on the team's minds. And like I said, I'm sure it sounds so mean, and you know, like I'm punching down to CRETE, but I really like some of the players on Going Ghost. Some of them are really smart players who I'm familiar with, and the couple who I don't know, that's not inherently, you know, a bad mark on their record. But at the same time, like, what are we doing here? What's the goal? I mean, your only goal of this team composition is, oh well, maybe we can try to kill the Scylla and the Izanami before we get wiped. Like, and maybe they can fight better than that because you've got significant damage. The amount of CC that you're outpouring is pretty immense. That's all really good stuff for going Ghost, but it doesn't fix the the overlying problems that this is. That you have set up a world where the Wheelish can go lane by lane, picking you apart one by one, and then going back and doing her own thing. And I can't get behind the concept of that. I mean, the 10 Wheelish bans. I mean, Dilo said the same thing as chat saying a Wheelish only has one ultimate, but I don't know. I can't say enough how this feels like just a complete lapse in what can make a cohesive composition, because the inherent problem is that you're setting up the Wheelish to deathball and set up the other lanes to all outperform their opponents, and that's probably the scariest thing.
Okay, so we do have more hot analysis knowledge dropping in here. Some breaking news: a Wheelish was third pick. So Blood Wardens had this going early. Going Ghost, I'm really trying to see the perspective here. I think I'm really trying. I really am, because I think it does go in the fact that, okay, we're just gonna outperform. I think last game they got too comfortable. Now they say, okay, there's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna want to make it move. Let's just try to fight through this uphill battle. Sometimes you're gonna have to lose. We're hoping that it's not this time. I'm genuinely, after yesterday's set, I'm fairly well-versed in understanding this.
It is about how fast you get there, because the only thing waiting on the other side is my salvation from this game.
Yes, exactly. So, just hopefully going to see the best of both worlds, because they need to make sure that I think they give this Wheelish the respect it deserves.
When Hannah Montana said nobody's perfect, she was talking about going Ghost, and she's right, because they've had their updates, but man, this is a down day.
And you know what? That's okay. Sometimes you got to work it again and again until you get it right. Exactly. I love you, man. A Wheelish, if you take the Wheelish out of the fight first, that eliminates the threat. That's what it's got to be. I think you need to put an immense amount of respect on them, but the issue is, and I also want to see this from Blood Wardens, what Terminator did on this god yesterday, that Z-Tan did a great job pointing out, was that you sometimes have to recognize that the ult in pocket is almost as valuable and even sometimes more valuable than an ult expended. Going Ghost are going to be calming the moment that thing is down and probably setting their counters.
Yeah.
So if you keep that in pocket, it's going to be in the back of their minds. Going Ghost have to then rethink their ability to engage and disengage, lest it become the engage for Blood Wardens themselves. So I'm looking for, honestly, this puts quite a bit of pressure on the Wheelish's sculpted shoulders. Make sure that your ultimate is used at the right time, and sometimes recognize the fact that a full diamond is better than an empty one. I'm looking forward to seeing if Going Ghost can try to fight this uphill battle. I'm a bit worried for them, though, Anthony.
Yeah, same.
Honestly, same.
That's the best I got for you. Same.
Me
I'm also worried.
too.
We'll see how it goes.
We indeed shall. Game 2 coming at you in just a bit. Don't go anywhere for the fun. We're back. Welcome. Hope you've been having fun. We certainly have. Also been having heart palpitations here, at least on the part of Anthony. Going Ghost. Blood Wardens. Week 3. OSL CRETE Division. A Wheelix. Banned 10 times. Still on the field. Anthony, what do we expect to see here in this early game?
37 kills.
37? Okay, over under. Let's take our parlays. Everyone in the chat, drop your amounts. We're paying out tonight.
I mean, I do stand by it though. This has to be a legacy game from Action J. I can't even speak anymore. Going Ghost broke my brain so much in that picks and bans. This has to be a legacy performance. This is the matchup that a Wheelish mains dream about. When you queue ranked, or if you queue casual and you blind pick a Wheelish, this is the matchup you're hoping you get on the other side. So you've got to make it count now. You have got to. And one thing that you touched on is Wheelish has one ult. So if I am Action J, I'm going lane by lane once that ultimate comes online, and that is how I'm trying to blow people up.
Yeah. It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be a rough thing. Wheelix is able to fight very early once she gets to this step and that Panther Spirit. Hoonbots has got to wait a little bit longer. And it's going to be reflected in the fact that they're farming in the mid, whereas Axe and Jay's already looking for their chance to engage. Belly Flop's been used. That's been communicated. Axe and Jay waiting in the wings. I think Acerman did notice and is going to back off. Pings are raining down on her head. Wheelix goes home hungry for now.
Bit early there from Axon. You gotta time your stuff right. I was expecting to actually see pressure in mid. I really like the level 2 fight of a Wheelish and Scylla. I feel like it's very strong, and now that rotation has cost a level towards Draco 10k that you could use to get aggressive, especially with Jay Turner being so low, and Hoonbots has a blink.
There's the blink, there's the staff slam, there's the sentry to escape. Didn't quite have the mana or the gumption to throw it out. Brain broken there for Draco, unfortunately, or maybe cooldown's just not online. Nonetheless, Going Ghost with that pressure get themselves a bit of fun.
Well, it's a good start for Going Ghost, actually, all things considered. I would have expected it to be worse, so that's a positive. But no level 5s yet. That's kind of the big thing. And Hoonbots is looking at solo. It's a fully healthy J-Rod on the Serb, and certainly not an easy target to gank. But with no beads, that could be a target worth keeping an eye on, because we talk a lot about the level 5 of a Wheelish, but we haven't talked much about the level 5 of Hoonbots, which is just as good, especially into a team that only has 2 sets of purification beads.
That does look awfully tantalizing. Then the question is, where does that Fear No Evil drop? You have CC Immunal on the Scylla. Might be a bit of a harder target. Cerberus as well. Honestly, if you can catch that Wheelix in the jungle lacking, certainly not your worst prospect. Level 5 is going to start to take over pretty soon, and Wheelix hasn't gotten to expend that early pressure she's liable for. So I know it's very early to say, but Going Ghost have at least gotten past a part of the danger.
A part of it. Once level 5 hits, once you see next to that character icon at level 5, you've got to be prepared for the gank to come across. I mentioned the beads for the side of Blood Wardens. Looking at Going Ghost, it's the same story. Only 2 beads. One for MLF, one for On Her. Hoonbot's going the blink. While it almost worked for the first blood, it's of course good for Fear No Evil. Counter ganks, counter rotations coming out from the junglers. Hoonbots can no longer match the Wheelish. Kakulin is going to be a target as well. The Bacchus, Bacchus isn't invulnerable pre-level 5, especially with just having that war flag online right now and things being a slow burn to get a bit tankier. But now that it is level 5, it's an idea of, okay, eyes on,
Ivory?
Call out the Wheelish every time. Ivory dead.
J-Rod running over Ivory back rune, just like we wanted to see. This time, it's the Rottweiler, just gonna take down that toddler once again. There's always some violence here happening to children in the solo lane. J-Rod's coming at him, man. That's the pitbull named Princess. That Dirty Bubble mentioned before. Shout out Dirty Bubble for that one. But nonetheless, Blood Warden's now liable to rotate for a very early BDK. We never got to quite see that action. Oh, come on, Axon. Do not waste your legacy on that. A BDK death would be tragic, but it does go down to the Wardens.
Yeah, no legacy game if you die to a BDK. I think that disqualifies you, and I would have had to eat so many words from picks and bans had that happen. I mean, that would have essentially made the rest of the game, however it may go, worthless.
Nonetheless, at the very least, stays alive, stays in it. Blood Wardens with that first blood. I think Going Ghost did get it first in game 1, so reversing that pressure. This time we're starting it off. It's 5 minutes. Despite that 1 kill on the board for the side of Chaos, Going Ghost farming a little bit better. Gonna be a 500 gold lead for now. And gonna be the rotation here from the Ganesh back in their own lane. The pressure from Going Ghost has still been very substantial, which is only to be expected given that they still have the On Her and the Bacchus flops aplenty.
Nice 2-person flop, but no damage to follow up. But my eyes go to the map, and they see a rotating Wheelish, and 2 blue jerseys stepped up real far.
Here's your chance. Here are the pillars, most damaging unit of the game. Gonna put the outset just for the Wheelies to enter into the field. Doesn't even need the ultimate. Flop's been expended. There's the Lunar Surge. Gonna be looking for that last bit of damage. Feather Step once again. Elephant just gonna put him in place. Axon J starts off their legacy with a nice double kill in the dual lane.
A response in solo. Humbot's looking over at J-Rod, but there's the jump away. It's good. And now, matter of fact, it could be trouble for Draco, who's under the tower. Jump okay, but is he going to get out? Fear no evil. He's still barely alive.
Better fear the puppy dog. Better fear the little girl. That crush gonna be just off the mark. Even the monster, you elbow charged right through it. Buddy. You're not the linebacker. You might have thought.
Go.
Bastion gonna eat that second. Crush finishes the job. Draco shouldn't have been monkeying around. Why'd you turn, buddy? They're gonna go down to the Scylla.
That was so mean. Everything that
Tragic.
its J-Turner hit there felt mean. The dash through,
Bastion
catching the Yama
especially.
monster, the crush, getting the edge of Draco 10k. That is a tough end there for the Hoonbots. And going back to the fight in duo lane, which we didn't get us even a moment to talk about. You talked about Awelish having one ultimate, right, D'Lo?
Yeah,
The ultimate is not what got either of those kills.
it's not.
I mean, the attack speed stim that the ultimate gives was good
It's
for
nice.
bringing down Bacchus, but it didn't even catch the flop because it was a little bit mistimed by Axon J. And the kill onto the on her was before the ult was used.
Yeah.
That's disaster territory if you're letting Axon do that pre 10 minutes.
And now look at him. Killing a Bull Demon without even dropping down to half. Beautiful work. Blood Wardens starting to stake their claim here. Now have the gold lead 7 minutes in. 4 kills up. Excellent job across all the lanes. It's like you said before, Anthony. The Awelish doesn't just enable you in those team fights to have a lot of pressure. It puts your lanes ahead. We're starting to see it right now. Kukulin having to babysit their own tower. That doesn't feel quite that good. And Hoombots' Fear No Evils have really not gotten to get enough done. Now Awelish waiting in the wings. Macron's got to be careful, but they got eyes on the Awelish so far. A rotation coming in from both supports as well as the Monkey. Could find J-Rod in trouble. Look at the puppy dog. He pulls you right back in. They do get J-Rod first, and they take down Axon, but not before putting Sarcastron on the sacrificial altar. You've been sent back to Pluto. Another kill there in the dual lane as well. Solo by Acerman, barely able to take on the Wolfie pup, just like before. Nice action replay. Watch out for those minions, though. They're bloodthirsty.
Yeah, remember the minions popped off in game number 1. Who's to say they won't do it again? That is, you know, I take back my smack talk reaction of the bad jump from Sarcastronaut. That turned into a really good play for a really nice double kill. Unfortunate for going Ghost. The double kill went to the Bacchus, but it's still really good, and it does some stuff to kind of earn you back some pressure in that solo lane. And also, perhaps even more important than the double kill, is the map response from going Ghost. They saw the Awelish, as you pointed out, D'Lo, and you saw the instant rotations come out. You saw the Bacchus and the Hoombots be Johnny on the spot with getting over there and saying, we've got your back, Ivory Macaroon. We're not going to have to deal with the Awelish forcing you under your tower. Now, how long they can keep that up on going Ghost is a bit of a different story, because it has to be kept up the majority of the game, like we're seeing right now with the Awelish lurking duo, but Sarcastronaut not unaware.
Oh no, Blink, not gonna find that Suku charge. Said the Feather Step might just be enough damage. Don't need an ultimate, but those basics still do hurt. Axon J finishes off Acerman. A nice rotation, gets themselves a nice kill on the line.
Draco could get greedy
could be
here.
You've got the Blink potential, you just gotta leap. He's just gonna run into a wall, thinks he's Kleena. Wrong god there, my friend, but wouldn't you wish you were, because you don't have a leap. Instead, it's gonna waste that aggression on that green buff. Take that, they say. Get a nice steal for their troubles, but not too much else.
Thinks he's Kleena. Great call. That's a good one.
Sometimes you get a bit of identity, Sidor. Indeed, but Scylla, gonna take some notes there to try to get yourself out of the situation. They're still trying to get something. Go and go say, we're not gonna leave this jungle with empty hands. They do strip it, but now Blood Warden's not quite happy about that step up. I do believe they got that.
They got
farm
two,
too.
yeah. They got both. They got both of the oracles there. You did make a call that's important for that previous gank. No ultimate came out from Axon. That's now the second time we've seen Axon be a little bit on the greedy side with that ultimate. Keep your eyes on that the further we get into this game to see if it becomes a trend.
Now going to be dropping down those pillars, not going to find anyone's side. It's Jay Turner who's in a bit of trouble here. Nice consuming power, going to put on some decent damage, but Wheelix has arrived to the party, forces off the beads there from Pineapple. Suku Charge, going to try to find the last piece of damage. The Dragon Flight might send you on a one-way ticket back home. Axon Jay gets whacked by the Mutton. Sarcastronaut with a nice bit of revenge on top of the Wheelix. Great kill by Going Ghost.
Going Ghost, that's what you got to do. They have 4 now as a team, and while 3 are with Sarcastronaut, the style of fighting they're bringing out is what you absolutely have to continue to do if you want to keep competitive and stay in this game. I like grabbing the BDK as well. They'll be the first one that they're able to get so far. Lots of red wards on the map, D'Lo, so lots of gold to be had.
I think Axon's not appreciating their value. And you got to respect yourself. That's a lesson in Smite. It's a lesson in life, too. You got to recognize your own value. And if you're leaping in, that's a long cooldown. You don't have mobility. Bacchus was still there even if you got the kill on Pineapple. So you got to stay alive. It's easier said than done, especially for Jay Turner now underneath that Fear No Evil. I'm a Monster, going to give you a bit more space and also a bit of CC immunity. Rest of Blood Wardens there to provide a bit of backup for the little sister. Going Ghost don't want to pursue the matter any further.
You talked about having paralysis by way of options. I'm starting to wonder if for Axon J that could be a bit of a problem here early on, is when to actually use that ultimate. The counter to it is in the items built by Axon. You've got so much cooldown, and Gravity Surge doesn't really have that big of a cooldown even by itself. So it's sort of like Ho Yi. We talk about with ricochets. You miss every shot you don't take. Same thing with Thor. We say you have to ult on cooldown, and oftentimes you'll even hear it said about Hoombots. That's got to be the case here for Axon. You can't hold on to that ultimate forever. I understand there's 4 kills listed for the jungler Blood Wardens, but there could be more, and we need to see some of that aggression because, as mentioned, this is the comp you want to play into if you're on an Wheelish.
Beacon, going to be up for contestation here as jungle as well as support do manage to capture it. Blood Wardens had numbers to try to contest, but not going to actually be able to succeed. Instead, contesting this death onto Jay. Once again, the target's on the back of the Wheelix, and it's going to succeed. Draco takes them out, gives them the full clip. Wheelix is off the map. Might be the Ganesh next. Consuming power, going to consume the life there of Tank. Cerberus arrives to the battle, plays a little game of fetch there for their owner, the Sil. But the Fear No Evil is going to separate the fight, and now it could be trouble here for the Blood Wardens as J-Rod goes down as well. Jay Turner going to only be able to throw one more crush in protest, but overall a great fight here for Going Ghost. Only Draco dies.
Gold Fury will be pulled instantaneously by Going Ghost. Blood Wardens, while maybe aware, not quite interested instantly. Now Wolfie Pup heading over. Will it be in time? Gonna be close! Here's the chance from Wolfie! No! Going Ghost, get the Gold Fury.
I think Going Ghost are doing, honestly, an admirable job with this comp, given what's stacked up against them. And I think it's what we talked about before. It's targeting Axon J, and Axon J not recognizing their value. It's also what you said before. They got a full diamond right now. I think there becomes a balance. Early game, you don't have as many opportunities. They're more sparing. There's not as many team fights, so you do take those ults when they come to you. Team fights, 5v5s, that's when you can use the intimidation factor as its own weapon. Bold Demon goes down on Blood Wardens, but poses some really big questions here for Axon. What will their legacy be, and how will it affect LeBron's?
That's a really good question, actually. And you know, the last fight left Axon feeling a little more brawny than Braun. Instantly died, unable to use anything, ultimate never even considered, and a lot of that was due to the CC and due to the damage, and by the end of the fight, Axon probably felt like, well, what's the point of using my ultimate here if I'm already dead? And that point is sort of the most interesting one to me, because there were a couple of jumps towards Axon where there would have been opportunity. So Axon's really going to start getting a bit more aggressive and making the plays happen for Blood Wardens, but caught in the jungle again. The knock-up, not going to be there, but once again, the pull off the mark.
That's really rough, man. Could have been a great opportunity, and now that leaves them to enter without a problem. Sacred Monkey not going to find the mark, but one more basic attack or one more staff blink forced out. That's going to cost him big, that miss. And now here come the cavalry, here come the pillars, it's Jay Turner. Draco goes down once again. The rest of the boys are in pursuit.
Still with the crush out, damage gonna be good. I'm a monster, gonna follow out. Who's the target? It's up, it's down, it's no good. And Jay Turner, not long for this world. Ivory Macaroon with the kill.
Runs over the toddler. It's not the quite matchup I wanted to see, but nonetheless, at least some kid is getting hit. There's the backup there for Going Ghost. They're looking to try to take down the remaining members of Blood Wardens, and now Cerberus jumping in. Morgan Le Fay's got damage, but she's also got damage on her end. Pineapple gets eaten up there by the puppy dog. 3 members grouped up. No ultimates on board. It's just going to come down to fists. Mano a mano. Mutton a mano as well as Bucky's leaps right back in. The ghastly breath. Axe and Jay's back in action. Ivory Macron goes down. The pulse on the mark. And there's the comp coming together. The legacy's been restored. Axon with a double kill.
Big time double and a big time ultimate there from Axon, being able to come back into that fight and perform that cleanly for Blood Wardens. Turns it around, even though it started kind of rough, and the trade works out for the red side. While gold still not their way, the feel of this game, what's going on in duo, by the way? The feel of this game is immensely positive, because they're just standing there for a second.
It's like the moment, hey, where's Perry?
Well, no, I was looking at the map to try to get a read on things, and I literally saw on her and Izanami's avatars, like, on top of each other, but nothing happening, and they're both full out. Were they holding hands? Like, what was going on over there?
Wolfie? What?
Oh, MLF?
Uh-oh, this could be a big issue for the MLF. Gonna be able to dodge that monster. And J-Rod
Okay,
gonna be able to get the
3
kill,
ults for the MLF.
What? Take him down!
She's definitely dead.
She's definitely dead. Gotta make sure. You never know what. Double tap. It's the Zombieland rules. And now Pyromancer gonna be up on the mark here for the Blood Wardens.
It was a duo lane jump party. That's fantastic.
You gotta respect it. And show of friendship not going to be had here on the Pyro, as Cerberus tries to leap on it. Big Fear No Evil wards them all off. It could be the elephant going down first. Jay Turner falls.
And Ivory wants more. Tank, can you get away? No, double kill for Ivory. But Axon gonna run down the monkey and take out Draco. But where do you go from here?
I mean, they don't have ultimate, and Bacchus has got flops aplenty. Forces out that Thorns. Gonna be decent damage here off the flop belch combination. Steven leaps to try to get a bit more damage to that barb. Spear not gonna work. That ghastly breath on the back of your neck not gonna be very fun. Soul explosion is a mark. There's the blink. Panther charge to finish the job once our astronaut sent back to Uranus. And there is Kakolan trying to finish off a bit more vestiges of damage on the Cerberus. Not going to be enough. Those 2 souls are awfully tanky. Overall, a pretty even trade fight. I think that was 2 for 2, Anthony.
I'm sorry.
What?
The Sarcastronaut gets sent back to Uranus.
Oh, shoot. I'm naming planets, bro. Damn it. I was literally... Okay.
No, you said it fast and it deserves some respect. because I felt like it went way too under the radar. Anyway, fight happening against the GB.
Yeah, could be problems here for J-Rod. That's certainly not flying under the radar. That beacon going to be taken here by the Blood Wardens, but now without a bit of scrapping here from Going Ghost. Poke on the serve. Going to be fine. Puppy Dog can lick their wounds. They got 3 heads to do it anyway. 18 minutes. 10 to 14. 1,000 gold lead here, still to Going Ghost. They're going to try to add to them coffers with that Pyromancer. And Blood Wardens can't do too much about it. Draco has that Fear No Evil once again. I've been really liking the ultimates from the Hoombots, in all honesty, a bit more than I've been liking these Gravity Surges.
I'm with you. Every Fear No Evil has felt impactful and felt meaningful for the most part. Some have hit 3 members, a couple have hit 2. We've seen kills secured. Tier 1 tower, main topic, and Tank just dashed to death. No, he gets to walk out. Are you kidding me? Hello?
Dude just took a leisurely stroll back up through mid lane, said, "Excuse me," and Going Ghost said, "Please, sir, go on ahead."
Didn't want that kill, yeah.
Dude's got TSA pre-check. He must have. I told you he's got money bags, bro.
He told you he skipped security. There was that security meme where the guy's like not even doing any pat downs. He's just waiting people through into the game.
I told you he's got stacks. They knew to put respect on the elephant's name, and that's what they're gonna do. Unfortunately, a bit too much respect. They could have gotten a kill with it, but we'll take it, I suppose. Now Going Ghost with that Pyromancer in pocket are starting to lengthen this lead. It must be said, the worst threat is not over. When this Awilix will really be dangerous is during these 5v5 fights when Going Ghost need to find a way to engage.
That's going to be the most important time, too, to hit an ultimate, because if you can eliminate one member from a fight, that's when you can really get the ball rolling. And maybe what's led to some of the odd decisions with that Awilish ult has been trying to get somebody you can kill or trying to be defensive into the Bacchus, where it doesn't need to be that big of a decision. You know, sometimes apathy is death, and in that scenario, if you're Accent, just pick somebody, pull somebody in, get a pick early in the fight, because then everything else will be much easier to put together, especially with damage from the Scylla. But now Primal up and pulled. It's at half. Going Ghost want to contest.
There's already decent damage here onto Tank. Might be the first target, but working on the left side. It could be Accent who's getting down first. Fury been without Forgotten. They're looking for damage instead. Hoombot's quite low. There's the Stygian Torment. Acerman gets the first kill there on Tank. Monster a bit off the mark. Here comes Desert Fury.
Everyone's falling apart. It's going to be a few kills already for the On Her and a killing spree for J-Rod. Now to step up to bring down that Cerberus who caused all the chaos. The jump will be good, but it's prolonging what should be inevitable.
Oh no, he's got Blink. I don't know. They're looking for the puppy dog, but the meddling kids and their stupid dogs.
Wait a second to die to tower.
No! You son of a gun! I can't believe you! The unmasking.
Get over here!
So unfortunate. Pineapple is lazy, was not sleeping on the job. J-Rod goes down.
And now Primal picked up again, but it's not for free! Accent gets impaled back, and Going Ghost will get the Primal. They'll take an Awilus too. Double kill for Pineapple's lazy.
Sarcastronaut not going to leave the atmosphere this time. Keeps their feet firmly planted on the ground. 15-15 now. Game's been equalized as far as the kills go, but the gold was already in Going Ghost's favor, and now it's going to continue as such 20 minutes in here. 5,000 lead. Quite solid. I don't know. They still haven't opted to really itemize too hard to neutralize the Awilix threat. I think Going Ghost has been a lot of confidence. The question is, will it turn into arrogance?
I like that. Will it turn into arrogance? Will it turn into overstepping? Going Ghost, they're going to pull the fire. There's no instant response, but watch for that Ganesh closer than you might think.
And also has the most damaging ability in the game.
Oh,
Rotations here from Cerberus, I'm sorry, and the Scylla. It's already dropped down to a quarter. Ganesh can't quite get in. Colin's pulling zoning duty. Here comes the Serbi. They put it down. I'm a monster, bit off the mark. Going Ghost do grab that FG, and now with a lot of ults off the mark, it's Jay Turner on the mark with that crush. Takes down Draco for the start of the ensemble. Colin trying to hunt down the Alpha. There's a big rapid surge over the wall, trying to take down the boxes with the last damage they have. They soar over the crush though, and Max and Jay's been robbed of the legacy. Tank goes down as well for the double for Pineapple.
That's 3 gone for Blood Wardens. They've just got to retreat. J-Rod, the new topic of discussion, but meanwhile, remember the Winions? Well, Wolfie Puff putting on the cosplay of the Winions, hitting up the dual lane, can't quite get the Phoenix, but got some gold in pocket for Blood Wardens. So not all is an L. You will lose J-Rod eventually, right?
Eventually.
They're gray. They're literally gray on the screen.
Yeah,
oh my god.
Do it. Hold on a second. This could be a crazy chase down. There's the last few times
recently.
Oh no, it worked! That's crazy.
He's got a calculator in his head.
Let's go. And now the damage dropping for Pineapple is lazy. Wolfie says left side, strong side. Pineapple says get your ass out of here. Knocks him back with that nice ultimate. And gonna be grab that Stygian Beacon right afterwards. Overall, 2 kills there in that extended part of the fight. The Snyder cut, go down, Going Ghost, and they get a beacon as well.
I think it's crazy that Snyder cuts come out of movies that he has complete creative control over, like Rebel Moon. You have complete control. Just release the movie you want to release. I mean, Rebel Moon was as good as both of those ultimates.
Yeah, they both just kind of went nowhere. And that's just what the box office scores went as well. So unfortunately, Blood Warden's gonna have to go back to the drawing board. Think of maybe some better plot lines. Think of some better story. Think of some better way to get Axe and Jay back in this game. 8-5 looks good, but given what we're expecting from this Awilix, it's not enough. It's not
a standout
enough.
moment, because every legacy game is going to have its legacy moment. That's what the Blood Wardens really need to draw out of Axe and Jay. In game 1, it was the Winions. That was the big thing that made the game feel complete. That was our stamp on this is the end of the game. Going Ghost could potentially have that. Pineapple is lazy in a lot of these last few fights, has really been a standout for me in the damage coming through. A lot of doubles, a triple kill on the horizon in the last one. That's somebody you got to watch if you're Blood Wardens. And as you said, and the reason for this point overall, Axe and Jay. We talked about it so much in picks and bans. Kat jokingly put 10 Awilish bans on the screen just to emphasize the point of how risky is the nice word I'll use. It was to run this composition into a third pick, a Wheelish. So if I'm Blood Wardens, everything that I'm going to do in these last few fights is around the idea of we counter their team. How do we now counterplay their team? And Oni Fury for free, not exactly the greatest step in the world, but at least you're grabbing farm. At least you're catching up where you can because you've now hit 10k gold just about, Dilo. And that's where problems start to really feel worse than they even are. And Blood Wardens, their confidence shouldn't be low. So it's time to lock in.
Oh, man! To be worried though. Just gets caught getting a bit too hasty trying to take down that tier 2 tower. That's not the legacy you want to leave. Corpses on the battlefield being left instead. Your job is not to take down structures, it's to take lives. Axon needs to be with the rest of the team where they belong.
That wasn't pretty for Axon J. And it's funny that I was just talking about the kind of dynamic between Pineapple's lazy and Axon, and then Pineapple solos Axon under the tier 2, and the tier 2 still standing? Maybe that's foreshadowing for Going Ghost? The tier 2 standing through the 1v1? I don't know. It's got the drama to it. Could be cinema.
Could be an absolute movie, but hopefully not a Snyder one. That tier 2, not going to stand on the right side.
I'm always
26
down
minutes here
for Snyder slander.
Yeah, me too, honestly. Like, it's been far overdue. That guy does not know how to make movies. DC Cinematic Universe is in absolute shambles, and right now, kind of so is Blood Wardens. They've had their map state opened up. They're down 3 kills. They're down 11,000 gold. What Z-Tan would lovingly call uh-oh territory, I think, has started to arrive, and J-Rod's finding themselves in uh-oh territory too, staring down the barrel of 3 members of Going Ghost. EFG not going to be quite the next one unless we get a bit slow with this next Fire Giant Ramba. But at the very least, Going Ghost have positional advantage over the pit. They're taking authority over their territory, and Blood Wardens need to find a way to step up.
Deathbringer online and upgraded for Acerman. So eyes on the Honor. We saw how hard he was hitting in game number 1. For Axon J, Bloodforge is online. That's kind of the big one for me looking at the Wheelish, but maybe a pincer going on here in mid.
The 1v1's an interesting one. If Hoonboss decides to lose that lead, nice
Wow.
to evade that Fear No Evil. Huge. Huge, honestly. And now, Blood Wardens can feel a bit more emboldened around this FG fight should they decide to take some aggression. Instead, it's Going Ghost. Getting aggressive on this Pyro. No contestation. A bit unfortunate. Another bomb in pocket here for Order.
Fire Giant considered by Going Ghost. The Blood Wardens have an answer. A risky pull. This has to be a bait. Will the Blood Wardens take it? So far, they're slow to the answer. Going Ghost will take it easy and begin to walk away. So still the dance continues.
They know that this ultimate from Draco is going to be incredibly pivotal. And I think they're doing a good job of, again, playing to this comp's strengths. Because without that Fear No Evil, what is your engage? It can't be a leap. It certainly can't be a leap in a 5v5. So this is where they have to wait. And Blood Wardens don't want to push their chips in either. It's both teams just waiting for this.
I like that call a lot. It can't be a leap, but a lot of this game, Going Ghost has taken the risk still and sent Sarkastronaut in to be the engage. And we've seen a lot of missed ultimates from Axon J onto that exact member, onto the Bacchus. So if Going Ghost think they can do that again, maybe that's where Blood Wardens can pull the trap card out and take out the Bacchus and go from there.
What they're hoping to do is actually try to indeed this. It's call attention to Axon J. They're hoping they're going to contest, but right now, Blood Wardens are the first ones to the scene. It could be just a fight over a beacon instead, but the real fight is who can get killed first, Axon J or the Bacchus. Seems so far, Bacchus getting a decent amount of poke for their side, but not going to be too big of an issue. Going Ghost, grab that beacon for free. Bird sustain a bit of damage, get some clipped wings, and now Bacchus goes in. Axon J can't help them out. Big blink, big Fear No Evil, Elephant's in trouble.
But there's no kills to match it up so far. Going Ghost can't bring anybody down despite the engage. J-Turner gonna bring down one right away, but it's traded back. There's the double. You need more.
They only got the Bacchus down? No, it's a 2 for 2 so far. Honor's pretty low, but there's going to be more deaths for the table. Tank goes down. They're continuing to pursue. Going Ghost know that without to fear, Blood Wardens running for their life back to the Phoenix. No minions can save you this time.
Blood Wardens with a really good disengage there. You kind of had to do it. If you had lost both Jay Turner and Wolfie Pup, that might have just been game for going Ghost, which, mind you, in game number 1, we saw Blood Wardens fumble a very similar type of end. I think that would have been a lesson learned for going Ghost, and they would have gone for it. So keeping your Fire Giant contest alive, too, is another big thing, and Blood Wardens succeeded in every fashion. And now it's EFG territory, D'Lo. The EFG is, in fact, in the game now.
Huzzah!
So going Ghost will have all 5 up. You can make that contest happen, but now it's still an even footing. What's interesting sometimes about these very late game fights, kind of in that 30-minute territory, is sometimes you fight, and it doesn't really do anything to the situation at hand.
30 minutes here. 23 to 19. It's 82,000 to 70. Going Ghost still with a very firm lead. The EFG, Anthony, is indeed in the game. Blood Wardens need a more concise, cohesive fight. 5v5.
Where's the legacy
Stay
moment?
together. Where is the legacy moment? What do you leave behind when you are no longer of this earth? That's the question we have for Axen, and right now they're pondering as they stand on the left side, but no time to ponder, because deaths are about to be had. Bacchus leaps their way out, stares at the Fire Giant, here comes Axen! Big miss down the Suku charge, could cost him big, because now Cerberus has dropped down low too!
Finally, somebody dies, and it's an instant double kill for Axen J!
Pineapple looking low, triple kill there for Axen J! Your legacy's in front of you! You just gotta go out and take it! The gravity surge! It's a kill! Get it! One more in front of you! What do you have when you leave this earth? Going Ghost are gonna pentakill for Axen J!
Exactly what you needed, exactly when you wanted it, and the Blood Wardens have their legacy game, and Axen J has his legacy moment.
The Phoenixes will go down. The Winions can stay at home. Axen J has proven their mettle. 10 bans for a Wheelix wasn't enough. Make it 15. Make it 20. It does not matter. The Wardens are calling for yours. They're calling for the Titan. Left side, any side strong with this team. Blood Wardens take it in 2.
A 2-0 sweep, and in dramatic fashion for the Blood Wardens. You cannot beat a good old-fashioned pentakill, especially when it's the ideal matchup for your jungler on the Awelish. A dream game for Axen J, with a dream ending at that. And, you know, it's so easy to forget everything else that might have happened. It's pentakills, D'Lo. It's so easy to forget everything else that might have happened when a moment like that ends the game. But for Axen J, it was the peak performance when you needed it the most.
Disgusting.
Disgusting.
Absolutely disgusting. I mean, we fucking disgusting, man. But like genuinely, like Axen J, we had doubts, and I think they were well founded. That comp, we were incredibly worried from the beginning, and they kind of were slacking a little bit at the beginning. Took a leaf out of Pineapple's book, getting a bit lazy there with the positioning, but then Axen stepped it up. And sometimes when you have such a glaring weakness in your comp, when you show your Achilles heel, and I don't mean the 10 that Cat locked in earlier, that can be enough to take the entire game. And I really hope that this is a lesson in draft building for Going Ghost, because at the end of the day, I don't think you necessarily lost completely on the field of battle. I do think, though, you took some big hits on the drawing board.
I'm with you. It was definitely a game that you can argue, and you would be in a really good spot to argue this, was lost on the whiteboard in the locker room. But for Going Ghost, there is a fair bit of the season left to go. And I think there's a lot of things that going forward, Going Ghost can look at and say, you know what? The season's not completely over.
For sure.
I know their schedule. They only have essentially good teams, air quotes, left to take on. But I think there's a world where they can really, really work on getting better and potentially have a better season.
It's week 3, man. There's so much time left. And honestly, like, I think you have some great things to look at and how they did neutralize a pick that, in theory, should eviscerate them. So there is credit to be had here. I want to lay my flowers out and hand them over to my friends there. Too bad I'm going to be laying them on their graves because they're all dead right now. But nonetheless, they did a good job with it in those first opening 15, 20 minutes. Things started to get out of control, though, and Axon recognized their role. They waited for their time to enter. They missed that first Suku's charge. I was nervous, but then they really executed.
And big shout out, you mentioned leaving the flowers at the grave, which sheesh. But shout out to Pineapple's Lazy too, because that game really did become a situation of, is the Awelish going to pull through and have the big moment, or is the Morgan Le Fay going to pull through and have the big moment? And Pineapple had really close calls with that, including in the last fight.
Absolutely. Morgan Le Fay, the only one who could really safely contest, because that's all of your kit that you can still use without any fear of that gravity surge. That being said, someone who, despite theoretically being at a such disadvantaged matchup, that I also want to throw credit to is Sarcastronaut. I think of that one fight in the solo lane underneath the tower after a big gank on top
where
of the
we
Cerberus.
called like, oh, this looks bad, and then Box was like, it looks good.
It's called the ambulance, but not for me. And the reason I think was it's a lose-lose situation. Bacchus wants to be the one to tank the tower. They know that. So they say, okay, either I leap in and I actually knock up the Awelix, or I leap in, I get pulled. That's where I want to be anyway. I can still intoxicate and drop my kit. And that's really good heads-up play by Sarcastronaut that I want to be recognized, because a support who recognizes when to lay their life down for the team is a support I want. But let's not detract from the team that did win.
I was going to say, let's not, the Winions won, but let's not detract from Blood Wardens and Axe and J. And I got to say, like,
yes,
I was talking smack about Axe and J at certain points, and the ultimate simply not being used properly, and kind of like, hey, this is your moment. This is the best opportunity you're ever going to get in this character. Make it work. Talk my smack. I look stupid now. So Axe and J, credit where it's due.
Cheers.
You got the better of me. I will not talk bad in your name ever again.
Okay, well, Anthony takes a Moonlight and Light Bondage. Will be wrapping this one up here more than his mouth is at the moment. So, Axon, you formed a legacy. What will you do with it? We all very much look forward to seeing, but that is all we have here for you today on Olympus Smite League AnthonyMalum edition. I'm D'Lo, joined here by AnthonyMalum, joined here as well by Kat, Almighty Eye in the Sky. Please thank her for her camera work as well as her fun shenanigans. Always nice to have a cam op with some nice personalities, so make sure to drop some thanks in the chat for all her work. And thank you, loyal, obedient viewer, for your time. We hope you've enjoyed this set. We certainly have. Keep an eye to the sky for more content coming down in the future, and we'll catch you all next time.
Bring it back, you can bring it back to me. Bring it back now, you can bring it back to me. Bring it back, you can bring it back.